What is happening, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ty behind the camera, and sitting in front of us is the 2024 Cadillac CT4 V-Blackwing. And this isn't just any Blackwing. This is a 1 of 66 ever made arrival edition. So that is a pretty cool vehicle we're going to check out today. Now, in this video, just to give you a little overview, we're going to check out the exterior as well as the interior, under the hood and under the trunk, just to get a full view of details on this vehicle. We're also going to take it out for a test drive, so stay tuned to the end of the video. I'm going to strap this GoPro to my head, and we're going to take this for a test drive. And by the way, this is also the 6-speed manual. So let's start the features up front with the headlamps. So they are full LED units, of course, kind of with that waterfall appearance for the daytime running lights. Of course, everything is all LED powered. The high and low beams, daytime running lights, and turn signals are all LED powered. We have lots of functional vents up here surrounded in gloss black. As you can see right in there, you can see a side intercooler. We of course have the main grille with the 20 years stamp, because 2024 is the 20th year anniversary of Cadillac V. So this special edition kind of pays homage to that anniversary. And then we also have some lower vents too that lead both into the intercoolers and the bottom of the radiator. We also have carbon fiber 1 and 2 packages on this car as part of the arrival edition, so we can see the huge dive planes on the sides of the bumper, and also the carbon fiber coming down all the way across for that entire length splitter. So very unique front end of this vehicle, and just a very special addition to this car. Nice long hood with some pretty cool creases, and we'll take a look at our 18-inch alloy wheels. We of course have the machined face to the wheel and kind of these painted gray pockets, and we're running Pilot Sport 4S tires, again wrapped around 18-inch wheels. 255/35 up front is the tire measurements. Looking down the side, we see we have some Cadillac V colors as a graphic down there. We of course have the V Blackwing badging and a little bit of accents on the fender. Some more carbon fiber details going down the side with the side skirts, and we also have red painted mirrors, pretty cool, and gloss black surrounding our windows. You can see we have the optional sunroof on this car and the shark fin antenna up top. And flipping around, you can see we have blind spot warning on the mirrors. Smart key entry on all 4 door handles too. Just tap the little chrome button to lock and unlock. And let's take a quick look at the window sticker. We of course have the arrival edition, which adds $22,000 onto the price of this car. We have the performance data video recorder, sunroof, and climate package, and also the suede microfiber steering wheel and shifter. That brings us to a grand total of $88,440 for this particular car. Wrapping around to the side, we see we have a very similar design for the taillights, kind of a cascading design coming from the rear to the front of the, I should say from the front to the rear of the vehicle. Of course, all LED units, looks very good, all illuminated. So the brake lights, tail lights, turn signals are all LED powered. We have parking sensors front and rear. Some more carbon fiber treatment back here with this huge spoiler that is deck lid mounted. We also have our CT4 V-Blackwing badges back here, the reversing camera right above the Cadillac emblem, and some more carbon fiber with the diffuser and some blacked out exhaust tips. We're going to get a listen to this twin turbo V6 right after we check out the engine, because it does sound pretty good. What do you guys think of this CT4 V-Blackwing? I personally think this special edition is pretty darn cool. Let me know in the comments. Under the hood of the CT4 V-Blackwing, we find a 3.6 liter V6 that is twin turbocharged to produce 472 horsepower, 445 pound-feet of torque. So quite the monster as far as horsepower and torque figures. And we can get it with either a 6-speed manual like we have here, or a 10-speed automatic, and the Blackwing is rear-wheel drive only. So let's take a look at the trunk. Now when you pop it open, it will kind of pop open to this height, and you can easily just lift it right up. And you have a pretty wide opening to get your goods inside. Not a whole lot of frills back here, because of course all the frills go to up front with the engine and the inside and everything. But it is a pretty good amount of space, and you could definitely fold the rear seats down in a 60-40 fashion. A little bit of storage underneath the trunk too, with your tire inflation kit, tow hook, and the little funnel for your fuel filler. Once you're done with the trunk, we have a little handle up here where you can just pull down nice and easy. Alrighty, let's get our first glimpse of the interior, starting off with the rear. So we have a really beautiful color combination for the Arrival Edition. You can see we have black leather as well as brown leather with white stitching and piping, and you also have brown stitching with more white stitching with some suede on a door panel. Very beautiful interior for this car, and the leather is top-notch. Take a look at that. All kinds of stitching and perforations on the inside, and you can see that white piping here. We also have red seat belts, which I guess could tie into the red mirror caps. Now we can also fold down the rear seats with that little button up there, and they do fold down pretty much flat with a little lip in the trunk so you can get extra items. But that's not really what we're too worried about with the CT4 V-Blackwing. We're going to take a quick look at how much space there is back here, and there isn't a whole lot, because again, this is a pretty small sized car, and I have to say there is a decent amount of headroom because there's some cutouts, and with the front seat adjusted to my position, there's not a whole lot of legroom. My knees are just touching the backs of the seat, but this is not the place you want to be in this CT4 V-Blackwing. You want to be seated right there. But the backs of the seat are this gorgeous carbon fiber with this V emblem. As far as amenities back here, we do have some climate vents, a 12-volt power outlet, and a USB-C connection. It is doable to sit a third person back here, but I wouldn't suggest it. There's just not enough room. And to my side, there is a armrest with some cup holders that you can fold out of the way when you like. Definitely have to say this is a gorgeous color brown interior for this car. And they really did do this Arrival Edition right. Let's take a look at the front cabin next. Let's take a look at the driver's door panel, because there are a couple of buttons and switches I'd like to discuss. First of all, we have our 2-person memory for the driver's seat with the easy exiting mode. We also have a 15-speaker AKG audio system on the Blackwing, which is awesome. Nice metallic accents for our door handles and just below. More of that leather suede combination and 2 different colors of leather that is. We have all of our window switches and our power child locks for the rear and all of our mirror controls. Also a trunk release here, another speaker on the door, and we also have a big storage pocket with a little place to stick a smaller umbrella. On the left of the dashboard, we have an air vent, your electronic parking brake. Also a little spot to put an SD card inlet for that performance video and data recorder. Little storage space right here, and our gauge dimmer. And on this side, we surprisingly have a power tilt and telescoping steering wheel. You can see a little knob to adjust that. Down here, we see we have our nice pedals. 3 pedals, of course, for this 6-speed manual. Very exciting to drive this car a little bit later on in the video, so make sure you stay with us. We also have our hood release right up there above the dead pedal. And our carpeted floor mats even have the V emblem in it. 20 years of V sill plate, so take a look at that. And we also have our serialized plate on the B pillar, which is a part of this addition to the vehicle. Absolutely beautiful seats on this car. You can see we have the holes for the racing harnesses that you could put in. We have the V stamped in the headrests. Again, more stitching and V coloring on the seats. Piping, perforations, more stitching, and all of our power adjustments. You can see we have a four-way lumbar, as well as the ability to adjust our extensions right here, in and out. We also have our normal power seats and the button for your massage, which is awesome. And one more thing, you could also put in and out your thigh extensions. So very, very adjustable seat with the addition of heated and cooling and massage. You can definitely find the comfortable spot in this car. All right, so now we're seated inside the Blackwing. We have quite the cabin to look at, but first, let's look at the key, which is color-coded to the brake caliper. So we have a nice dark red with the V emblem on the back. We also have lock, unlock, trunk release, and the panic alarm. Then we also have a button to the side to slide out a physical key. And on automatic transmission models, you also have a button for remote start. But of course, we have the 6-speed manual in the start. Make sure it's in neutral, foot on the brake, foot on the clutch, and just press the button. We get a nice sound of that throaty V6 upon startup. So let's take a look at what's right in front of us first. And this is this beautiful suede steering wheel, which is also heated. And we also have buttons for our adaptive cruise control, also Bluetooth phone and voice commands, as well as our forward collision warning settings. We also have some buttons over here for the arrows back and forth, as well as the wheel to configure our screen up there, and the up and down for your different radio stations, and these two silver buttons to adjust the audio volume. Now, we have some fun buttons towards the bottom of the steering wheel, and this one has to do with your performance traction management. So we can activate it by just bumping it up, and we have a bunch of different modes that will kind of cater the traction control to the mode that you select. So we have wet, dry, sport, and a couple of different race modes, which is pretty awesome. And again, that'll just kind of cater the traction control to that various setting that you selected. Now on the other side, the other fun button is the V mode button. So that'll kind of put the car in full-on race mode for the racetrack. Kind of stiffen up the steering, suspension, all of that good stuff. So that is a pretty cool quick button to press, and it'll also adjust the gauge cluster accordingly. Behind the steering wheel, we have, of course, have our stalk right here for our turn signals, automatic high beams, and your rest of your headlight controls. To the other side, we have the wipers. And that brings me up to our gauge cluster. A bunch of different gauge views once you start adjusting your driving modes. So again, your driving mode selector is right down here. And once we adjust to your different modes, that will also adjust the appearance of the screen. So basically, we could just put in sport mode for now, which is kind of my favorite setup for the gauges. It'll give you a nice big tachometer right here, what gear you're in right in the center, and your digital speedometer. And you can also adjust what you see in these 4 tiles here. Down at the bottom, you have your coolant temperature and your gas gauge right over here with the distance till empty. Now, you can also select different things to see in those 4 tiles by just scrolling down with these arrows and the button over here. And that will adjust what you see over here. Just before I said they were customizable. So there's a different views that you could see, and you could set up 4 in total. That is pretty neat. Scrolling over, you could see your trip computers, trip 1, trip 2, and then some fuel economy, lap timers, and things like that in there. We have our V performance screens, which we could time our 0 to 60, another lap timer, G-force gauges, and your launch control settings. We have a driver's assistance menu right there. You have your audio, navigation, and phone screens, as well as some maintenance reminders and things like that. Scrolling over, we have a bunch of options which we could adjust. And we also have a simplified gauge cluster where we can adjust that right there, so we just see what's most important to you, which is the tachometer, current speed, and what gear you're in. So pretty neat gauge setup, definitely very customizable. One more gauge view I wanted to show you was the track mode setup. Let's see here. And so if we switch to track, let it do its thing, this view will come up. Very neat animations, and we have this long style kind of tachometer right there with all of your different various things, and your gear right up here will show up, and the digital speedometer. So that is a pretty neat view in the track mode. Other things I could show you is up top we have the nice soft to the touch dash, and bringing us down here to our touchscreen, we have a nice home screen here which will show you a combination of what the climate control is doing, your radio, and navigation. This car actually does have built-in navigation, which is nice, so you don't have to connect your phone through the CarPlay or Android Auto to get navigation. We have a home button right there, or right here where we have the audio screen. What's playing will display in the center. We have presets up top, sources over here, and sound settings right here. We have a phone and navigation screen. The map looks pretty nice and very simple to enter in your address, just right there. We have our Wi-Fi hotspot. You can set up different users for the vehicle, and there's a bunch of different settings you could go through. We have our Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You can also download different apps, get our OnStar services, and then we also have the Performance Data Recorder app here. Once you enter an SD card, you can display your track recordings. So it'll kind of give you a really neat playback on your SD card, showing you the current speed, what gear you're in, and a bunch of different settings. You can go to your previous recordings and go through a bunch of settings in there. Cool. So that's a pretty neat feature, definitely worth the money if you're tracking the vehicle. You can also access your climate control through the center screen here, although you don't need to, as there's a full array of buttons down below. We have the My Cadillac app and also a separate Sirius XM there too. A couple of information down below with the clock and the exterior temperature and some shortcuts. And you're seeing these two knobs right here. One is the volume knob here, and the other the tune knob, and you can also use that to control the screen too if you didn't want to use the touchscreen. Down below the air vents, we have a full set of climate controls. So again, you don't need to go through the screen to get your climate controls. We have our different zones. It is automatic with the two different temperatures. Our two different temperatures are right here and here, and the fan speed right in the center. AC settings, you could synchronize the two different zones, and our defrosters are towards the passenger side. Right down here we have another array of buttons for your heated and cooled seats for up front. We can turn on and off your parking sensors, your hazards button, and your lane keeping assist. And then we also have our passenger seat controls. Just below we have a pad for your wireless charging. Nice amount of carbon fiber here surrounding your shifter, which has a pretty special top shifter medallion there for the Arrival Edition. And it is a great 6-speed manual transmission. As you can see, the throws are pretty short. And our reverse is all the way over towards the passenger side and up, where your reverse camera will pop up as well. A couple of notable buttons down here just below your shifter. We have our rev matching button for the transmission, which is awesome. Traction control you can turn on and off, and our different modes selector. A little V logo right here with a little storage tray. You can probably put loose change and things like that. And we have a couple of cup holders. Small center console, but you can open it up and you have a little bit of storage. You have a USB Type A and USB-C with a 12-volt power outlet in there too. Taking a look at the passenger side, we have a lockable glove box with plenty of room inside. We have a full black headliner on this car, and we can fold down some visors with lights. Taking a look at our center stack, we have LED illumination, garage door openers, and our adjustments for the sunroof. You can either slide or tilt. which, by the way, it is a pretty small sunroof, but again, we have a pretty small car that we're working with, and a sunshade that blocks 100% of the light. Getting back over here, we have some more lighting adjustments and our OnStar SOS buttons, as well as our nice frameless mirror, which does auto dim. That pretty much does it for all the features of the 2024 Cadillac CT4 V-Blackwing. Let's get this thing out on the road and see how it drives. Alright, setting off in the CT4 V-Blackwing. I can already tell this is going to be a very fun car to drive. Now, I have driven one before, just never in a really spirited manner, just kind of moving it from place A to place B, but we will give it a shot. I mean, we're going to respect this car since it's a very important car, and we're going to keep it around the RPM limit that we see there for the break-in period. But yes, we are going to be nice to the car, but we will test it out a little bit. So we have it in sport mode currently, and immediately you'll find that it has pretty stiff suspension, even in just the sport mode. We could take it up a track, or we could take it down to tour, but I think sport mode for now will be a pretty good option. Now, I have the rev matching activated, and you can tell by the gear number being illuminated in yellow or orange color. Normally, if it's not activated, the gear number will be illuminated in white. So we have a nice back road over here to take it on, and we're also going to put it on kind of like a 2-lane highway, so we'll see what it's like at the upper speeds, and at the end of the video we will get what we can of an acceleration test. Now, the pavement is a little bit soggy today, and of course we have rear-wheel drive and summer tires, which doesn't help the case, but we'll see what we could do. Definitely a very engaging car to drive. You can tell that everything is kind of driver focused. Even in the sport mode, the steering has a pretty decent weight to it. The throttle response is pretty responsive in sport mode too, and the brakes definitely feel very nice. Very bitey brakes. V6 has a nice throaty sound to it too. Up at these speeds at like 45 miles an hour, you get a lot of tire noise. There's probably not a whole lot of insulation from the roads as some of the other Cadillac models have. You know, the other Cadillac non-V models are very, very quiet and comfortable driving, but this isn't really even like driving any of the other Cadillacs. It's just so different. And you could tell, just putting this car into a mild corner at a little bit of speed, this is just going to be such a fun track toy for somebody. Pretty good amount of low-end power too when the turbochargers spool up, or that is after they spool up, you get a pretty good whiff, or a whoosh of power, I guess I could say. And we're already working with a pretty big displacement, 3.6 liters, so that's a pretty decent sized V6. So even without the turbochargers, you have a pretty good amount of power. It is just so effortless with this rev matching downshifts. Anybody could really get in this car and learn how to drive stick very, very easily, and wouldn't take much time either. The clutch is also very easy to modulate, and the throttle response is great actually for lower RPMs. This is a really good sounding V6, I have to say. And we'll put it into 6th gear to see what it's like cruising around. Yeah, the engine speed is nice and low, right around 1500 RPM at 50 miles an hour. It stays nice and quiet. Really the only thing you hear is the tires, which is, again, a small complaint. Other than the tires, the wind noise is really great. So the windows, you know, do a good sound of keeping out the oncoming cars and wind noise and things like that. So it's really just comes down to the tires. And I'm sure if you aren't planning on tracking a car like this, you can definitely find a nice set of all-season tires which won't make as much noise too. So the comfort of these seats is pretty awesome too. Now, these are the carbon fiber bucket seats, which sound aggressive, but they're actually very comfortable. I found a position that really works for me with a little bit of side support. The thigh support and the massaging seats also help out very nice. The changing of the seasons here, I'm getting some back aches going on, so that definitely definitely helps to have a heated massage in this car. The steering ratio is also pretty awesome. You know, the gentlest flick the steering wheel, you're going exactly where this car is pointed to go. Definitely helps you have the center marker on the steering wheel there. Also a nice steering wheel to hold in your hands too. It's just very comfy. The way that these kind of the 9 and 3 grips go into the actual spokes of the steering wheel, you rest it very naturally. And of course it's a suede, a microfiber suede, so it's nice and soft. Definitely easier to grip up when your hands get all sweaty on the racetrack. And same with the shifter too, that is also a suede material. It's just so easy with this rev matching, I'm telling you. Okay, so here's our spot where we're going to do our acceleration test. I'm simply just going to easily let out the clutch in first gear. It's in sport mode, traction control is on. So let's see what we can accomplish here. And here we go. Yeah, a little bit of tire slippage, not as much as I would think though. And once we grabbed second gear nice and quick, it really just gripped up really well and got us going. That's some pretty impressive acceleration, even though we didn't go all the way up to the red line. Just kind of respecting GM's preset red line here for the braking period. Yeah, nothing to complain about there as far as acceleration goes. There is definitely 472 horsepower under the hood of this thing. So with that being said, I hope you have enjoyed the 2024 CT4 V-Blackwing with the 6-speed, of course, just as much as I have. I certainly have a big grin on my face, and I hope you stick with us here at Ty Drives for more videos just like this one.